Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanandana. Yashodanandana Brajajanandana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. सदस्यमान भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। स्वामी तो भक्तबिंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तबिंद की जय. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mahabharata, Chapter 7. The Pandavas Sent Away. During the weeks that followed, Duryodhana and his brothers slowly began to win over the people. They distributed wealth and honors liberally and provided the citizens with all kinds of amenities and pleasures. At the same time, Dhritarashtra's ministers spoke continuously in the court about Varanavata, as they had been instructed by King Dhritarashtra. The Pandavas heard them describe the city's attractions. Oh, the festival of Pashupata is starting soon. The procession has no equal anywhere in the world. The decorations, gems, jewels, and entertainments delight the heart. The young princes were attracted. When Dhritarashtra saw that their curiosity had been aroused, he then told them, "Oh yes, lately I have been hearing quite a lot about Varanavata. It has occurred to me that you boys might derive much pleasure from visiting that city. So why not make a state visit? Bestow charity on the people and take your leisure. And after enjoying yourselves there, you may return here whenever you please." Yudhishthir, however, was intelligent. He could understand that this was simply a ploy to remove them from the city. As it is said, according to a Bengali proverb, "Ati bhakti chorera lakshana," too much devotion is a symptom of a thief. Yudhishthir was thinking, why did the king not ask his own sons to go to Varanavata? Yudhishthir had seen the unusual kindness that Duryodhana had been displaying toward the people as of late. But Yudhishthir knew very well that Duryodhana was hatching a sinister plot. But Yudhishthir felt helpless. So he decided that it would be better to do as the king suggested for the time being. After all, the Pandavas' position was not strong. The Pandavas had few friends and few supporters, and the king's sons were constantly inclined to harm them in any way they could. So perhaps a time away from Hastinapur would help. And so a date was set for the departure of the Pandavas. Duryodhana was overjoyed that the Pandavas had agreed to go. And so immediately Duryodhana began making plans. He summoned his confidential counselor, Purochana. Taking him by the hand, Duryodhana spoke. "This world and all of its wealth is as much yours as it is mine. You should act so that it will be protected. You are my most trustworthy supporter. I am completely dependent upon you. Now listen, as I tell you what must be done, and done secretly. Do not repeat to anyone what I shall now say to you. Yes, Purochan, I want you to go at once to Varanavata. Using skilled and trusted artisans, you should construct a spacious mansion for the Pandavas. It should be elegant and full of rich furnishings, but it should be made entirely of flammable materials. You should mix ghee and oil along with earth and a large quantity of lac varnish. Plaster the walls with it and then paint over it carefully. Then scent the house so that no one will suspect anything. Also, you should leave pots of ghee and oil throughout the house. I want to ensure that the building will burn to ashes within minutes. Duryodhana had thus revealed to Purochana the whole plan that he had made with Shakuni. Purochana should meet the Pandavas as soon as they arrive in Varanavata. Purochana should then show the Pandavas to their quarters. He should be sure that the Pandavas were aware of the fact that the house had been built for them on the order of King Dhritarashtra. Purochana should actually live with them just to help alleviate any suspicions on the part of the Pandavas. Then, when they were least suspecting it, Purochana should set fire to the house while they were asleep. Duryodhana then squeezed Purochana's hand. Everything depends upon you, Purochana. You should know that I shall reward you with unlimited wealth if you do me this favor. Now, leave immediately, for the Pandavas will soon be there. Purochana promised to do everything he had been asked. Gathering a number of his own men, Purochana immediately left for Varanavata on a swift chariot drawn by asses, and they began working on the house the very moment they arrived. On the day of departure, the Pandavas went before their elders and bowed down in respect. They touched the feet of Bhishma and Dhritarashtra and embraced their equals with love. Taking leave of the ladies, they walked respectfully around them with folded palms. Then they mounted their fine golden chariots. The citizens crowded around them as they made preparations to leave, and then followed the chariots as they slowly made their way out of the city. The young Pandava princes felt sorrow at leaving their homes and loved ones. Seeing their grief, some of the people spoke out. One Brahmana said, "Oh, this King Dhritarashtra does not have equal vision. He favors his own sons over these virtuous princes. Pandu's sons will never commit any sin. Why, they are blameless and pure, and they do not deserve to be sent away like this." Some of the people censured Bhishma for allowing it even to happen, while others condemned the blind king and his son. Many of them declared that they would actually go with the Pandavas to Varanavata rather than remain with the cruel-minded monarch and his evil son. But Yudhishthir checked them. "No, the king is our father, our preceptor, our superior. The king is always worthy of our worship, and so we should obey him without question. That is the eternal injunction of Scripture, and we should all abide by it with a peaceful mind. But when the time comes, you may be able to render us service in another way." The citizens then circumambulated the chariots and departed, tears flooding their eyes. And when the Pandavas reached the edge of the city, Vidura met them. Vidura had learned of Duryodhana's scheme through his palace spies. Vidura wanted to warn Yudhishthira without anyone else understanding his message. Going before the prince, who was still within the midst of the people, Vidura spoke to him in the language of the Milecha tribes people. Speaking cryptically, Vidura said, "A weapon not made of steel or any other material element can be more than sharp to kill an enemy, and one who knows this is never killed. For one who knows there are sharp weapons capable of cutting the body, although not made of metal, is thus not injured by them. One survives who understands that the consumer of wood and straw does not reach the dwellers of a hole in the forest. You must always stay alert. One who keeps the senses under control can never be overcome by any enemy." Vidura spoke for some minutes, and Yudhishthira, who was well versed in many languages, understood Vidura's meaning, although the message was not understandable by others. When Vidura finished, Yudhishthira replied, "Yes, I understand." Vidura then smiled and walked respectfully around the princes. Bidding them farewell, Vidura left for his own house. Once finally on the road to Varanavata, Kunti asked Yudhishthira what Vidura had said. "Oh, my dear mother, this house we are going to in Varanavata will be burned down. Vidura told me the means of escape will be revealed." The learned Vidura then said that one who is self-controlled wins sovereignty over the earth. When the citizens of Varanavata heard that the famous Pandava brothers were approaching their city, they came out in the thousands to greet the princes. The people saw Yudhishthira leading his brothers, just like Indra leading the celestials. They worshipped and welcomed the Pandava princes, leading them into their city to the accompaniment of trumpets, drums, and conchels. Cheers filled the air as the Pandava brothers proceeded slowly along the road. Reaching the city's main concourse, they got down from their chariots and first went to meet the Brahmanas. Then they met with the city officials, then the warriors, the tradespeople, and finally the workers and servant classes. After greetings were over, the Pandavas were received as guests of one of the city's chief officials. Remembering Vidura's warning and unsure of what to expect, the Pandavas remained there for 10 days. Then Purochana told them that their own residence was now ready. Purochana personally led the princes and Kunti to the house which he ominously named the Blessed Dwelling. And as they entered the house, quietly Yudhishthira said to Bhima, "From these odors I can detect that it is evident that this house has been made of lac, varnish, and other materials soaked in ghee and oil. Without any doubt, Purochana intends to burn us to death in this place. It is just as Vidura told me. Duryodhana has obviously entrusted Purochana with the job of killing us. My dear brother, why then should we live in this death trap? Let us return to where we have already been staying." "No, Bhima, your idea is not wise. If we let Purochan realize that we suspect him, then he may try anything in order to kill us. Obviously, he is without scruples and is determined to do the will of that ruthless Duryodhana. So we should not give him any indication that we are aware of his wicked intentions." When Purochan finally left, the 5 brothers spoke openly together. Yudhisthira then said, "We should dig a tunnel under the house in order to escape when the time comes." That was what Vidura had instructed. Both Bhima and Arjuna wondered why they should live in fear of Duryodhana. Why not challenge him outright? Bhima was especially angry, remembering the times when Duryodhana had tried to poison him. Bhima slapped his biceps and menacingly said, "Just order me, my dear brother, and I shall immediately crush all of the Kauravas with my bare hands." "No, my dear brother, our position is no way equal to that of our cousins. They are of 100, and we are but 5. They have rank, power, friends, allies, and wealth. And Dhritarashtra will never abandon his sons, while Bhishma and Drona will always stand by the king. So we cannot challenge the Kurus directly at this time." The twins, Nakula and Sahadev, then suggested that they immediately fly away from Varanavata. But Yudhisthira again disagreed. "Once he knows that we are running away in fear, Duryodhana will use spies and agents to find us and kill us by any kind of devious means." Yudhisthira thus decided that their best hope lay in living in the lac-varnished house, seemingly unaware of any danger, remaining constantly alert. They should prepare an escape tunnel under the house, and they should also spend their days hunting in the woods while looking for a route that would take them away from the city. So when Purochana sets the house on fire, they may escape without anyone knowing. Thus, Duryodhana would think them to be dead and would no longer pursue them. The brothers agreed, and they then searched the house for a place to dig the tunnel. And as they were looking, a man came to the house, introducing himself as a friend of Vidura. He told Yudhisthira that he was a skilled miner and had been sent there by Vidura, who had informed him that on a new moon night, Purochana planned to set fire to the door of their house. Yudhisthira looked at the man very carefully. Could this be yet another of Duryodhana's clever deceits? The miner reassured Yudhisthira by mentioning the incident when Vidura had spoken to Yudhisthira in the Milecha dialect. Yudhisthira then welcomed the miner warmly. "Yes, we are ever protected by that virtuous Vidura. It is our good fortune that you have come here. That wicked and sinful Duryodhana has had this house constructed from all sorts of flammable materials. While in command of wealth and allies, Duryodhana relentlessly pursues us." The miner said he would begin construction of the subterranean passage immediately. He began digging from the center of the house and covered the hole with planks and a large rug. As the miner worked, the Pandavas spent their days wandering in the surrounding woods. They soon ascertained a route leading them away from Varanavata through the forest. While living in the house, the brothers gave to Parochana the appearance of being peaceful and happy, so as not to arouse any suspicions. But at night they slept with their arms at the ready, one of them always remaining alert just in case Parochana made an unexpected move. No one but the miner knew of their plans. And so in this way, 1 full year passed. Parochan was now satisfied, thinking that the Pandavas were unaware of his intentions. When Yudhisthira saw that Parochan suspected nothing and trusted them completely, Yudhisthira said to his brothers, "Now, let us preempt Parochana before he can enact his plan. I think we ourselves should set fire to the house and make our escape." The tunnel was now complete. Yudhisthira considered that their best hopes lie in deceiving Duryodhana into thinking that his plan had succeeded. That would allow the Pandavas to escape without being pursued. They would then have time to consider their next move. After discussing from all angles of vision, the brothers decided they would set fire to the house the very next evening. The following day was a festival that was celebrated in Varanavata. Kunti distributed food and wealth to the Brahmanas, and many poor people came to the mansion in order to beg charity. By the arrangement of Providence, a Nishada tribeswoman also arrived with her 5 sons. The servants Kunti had placed in charge of distributing the food sat the woman and her sons down and brought them food and a large quantity of wine. Gradually they became drunk and fell asleep where they had been eating. Being unable to rouse them, the servants decided to leave them there for the night, although the Pandavas were unaware of all of this. As night fell, a storm blew up. The Pandavas sat together in their room, waiting until they were sure that Parochana, who occupied the room by the door of the house, was asleep. Yudhisthira then instructed Bhima to set the house on fire. Bhima then took a torch and lit the door and several other places, while his brothers and Kunti made their way along the tunnel. Bhima followed them quickly, and within moments the whole house was ablaze. Hearing the roar of the fire, the citizens of Varanavata all came out and saw with horror the blazing mansion. They were aware of the rivalry between Duryodhana and the Pandavas, and so they immediately guessed what had happened. Undoubtedly, this is all the doing of Duryodhana. He has employed his evil minister to destroy the innocent and unsuspecting sons of Pandu. Fie upon that wicked man whose mentality is so crooked. The bewailing people of the city surrounded the burning mansion and remained throughout the night. And when morning came, they threw water on the embers and searched the burnt-out ruins. They found the remains of Parochana and also of the Nishada woman and her 5 sons. They concluded that the Pandavas were dead, and so they lamented loudly, censuring Duryodhana and his father Dhritarashtra. Some of them even condemned Bhishma, Drona, and the other Kuru elders for allowing such a terrible thing to happen. Present among the citizens was the miner, and he ensured that nobody could find out the tunnel. Thus, no one in Varanavata even guessed that the Pandavas were still alive and that they were at that time making their way through the forest. The city leaders then sent messengers to Hastinapur with the news of the death of Kunti and her 5 sons, the Pandavas. When Dhritarashtra heard the messengers from Varanavata, he cried out in grief, "Alas, my brother Pandu has again died today, because his heroic sons and their illustrious mother have been killed. Oh, what cruel destiny! How can I face life without my gentle nephews?" Dhritarashtra then ordered that the royal brahmanas immediately go to Varanavata to perform the funeral rites for Kunti and her 5 sons. Along with Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and the other elders, Dhritarashtra went to the Ganges to offer sacred water for the departed souls. As they stood in the river, they cried out, "O Yudhishthir, O Bhima, O Arjuna, O Nakula, O Sahadev, O Kunti." Thousands of grieving citizens came out of Hastinapur to offer oblations. Sounds of wailing and sorrow filled the air. Bhishma was particularly afflicted as he remembered the young Pandava princes, who had always been like sons to him. Only Vidura did not lament, as he knew the truth. But still, he did not speak about it to anyone, for Vidura knew he could not risk telling even Bhishma, who was always loyal to Dhritarashtra and Hastinapur. Part 2. The Pandavas and Kunti emerged from the tunnel some distance from Varanavata. As their eyes became accustomed to the darkness, they proceeded in the direction that had already been charted. They were tired and afraid, and they found it difficult to hurry. Seeing this, the tireless Bhima lifted them all onto his vast bodily frame. To everyone's astonishment, Bhima placed his mother on his shoulders, the twins on his 2 sides, and Yudhishthir and Arjuna on each of his arms, and then ran through the forest, knocking down trees and trampling bushes and brambles. At dawn, they arrived at the Ganga, where another of Vidura's representatives met them. This man was sitting in a boat, and he called out to the Pandavas as they stood measuring the depth of the river with a stone tied to a creeper. Startled, the brothers looked around. Yudhishthir approached the man in the boat, who told them that he had been told by Vidura to wait there for them. He had been there every night for months, carefully watching for any signs of the brothers. The man assured Yudhishthir of his credentials by repeating to him the same conversation Yudhishthir had had with Vidura in the Malecha tongue, explaining that he had come to ferry them across the river and help them on their way. Then the man said, "Vidura has sent his embrace and has said that you will surely be victorious over your enemies. Vidura has said that you should remain always alert and depend upon God, by whose arrangement auspiciousness will always attend you. Now, get into this boat quickly and I shall take you far away from here." Being propelled by an engine and sails, the boat moved swiftly through the flowing river towards the south. The Pandavas journeyed for some hours and were finally set down on the opposite bank near a broad path leading into the woods. The boatman wished the Pandavas success and then departed, taking with him a message from them thanking Vidura. The brothers continued south. Soon they entered a dense forest. Feeling tired and hungry, they sat down. Yudhisthira cried out in an anguished voice,
Oh.
"What could be more painful? Here we are, lost in some deep and fearful forest. We do not know if the sinful Purochana has somehow survived and has informed Duryodhana of our escape. Oh, what dangers lie ahead for us now!" Now, Kunti was exhausted and could walk no further. She sat on a tree root, glancing around fearfully. Her sons, meanwhile, searched about for a way to go deeper into the jungle. It appeared virtually unassailable, with its huge trees and bushes enmeshed in a tight network of creepers. The cries of birds and animals filled the air. Yudhisthira gazed into the forest and said to Bhima, "O mighty son of Vayu, you must again carry us into these dreadful woods, for I can see no other way for us to continue." Bhima bowed his head in respect to his elder brother. Once again, he placed his mother and 4 brothers on his powerful body. When they were all holding on tightly, Bhima ran straight into the forest. He bounded high into the air and broke trees with his feet, clearing a path as he progressed. Tall, flowering trees fell on all sides with great cracking sounds, sending up showers of blossoms. Forest animals fled in all directions as Prince Bhima crashed through the woods. Bhima seemed like an angry elephant king charging through the jungle. So swift was his movement that Kunti and her sons almost fainted. Still carrying the 5 of them, Bhima also swam the streams and lakes which crossed his path. As evening fell, they stopped for the night under the shelter of a large banyan tree. Bhima set his mother and brothers down, and they fell to the ground, overwhelmed with fatigue, hunger, and thirst. Kunti asked Bhima to bring her some water. Bhima replied, "Yes, I hear the sweet singing of waterfowl not far from here. Undoubtedly there is a lake nearby." The tireless Bhima went at once towards the sound and soon found the lake. After bathing and drinking deeply, he soaked his upper garment and went back to the banyan tree. But by the time he returned, his mother and brothers had fallen into a deep sleep. Seeing them lying on the bare ground, Bhima lamented to himself, "Oh, what more painful sight could there be? Here are my brothers, who could not even sleep in Varanavata on the costliest of beds, sleeping now on the cold earth. And my gentle mother, delicate and resplendent as the filament of a lotus flower, lies exhausted on the hard forest floor." Bhima wrung his hands in anguish and frustration. If only the Kauravas were present before him now, they would regret their treachery. It was only by the grace of God that Yudhisthira did not command him to kill them all. Bhima looked at his sleeping elder brother. Surely Yudhishthir deserved to rule the entire earth. He never abandoned virtue or gave way to anger. Only because of this were the Kauravas still alive. Bhima sighed and looked all around. They had traveled many miles through the forest. Perhaps there was a town or village not far away. Bhima would remain awake, guarding his brothers and mother, and in the morning they could continue. Prince Bhima sat on a root of the banyan tree, with his mind and senses alert to any danger. For as it is said in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Padang Padang Yad Vipadang Tesham. In this material world, there is danger at every step. Om Tat Sat.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praklad Aklada Dayane Hiranya Kashi Pur Vaksha Shilatankana Kalayi Ito Nrsinga Bharato Nrsingho Yato Yamitato Nrsimha Bahir Nrsingho Hridayi Nrsingho Nrsingham Adin Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadish Jaya Jagadisha Jaya Jagadisha Hare Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Oma Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Acharyang mang vijaniyan nava manyeta karhichit namartya buddhya suyeta sarva deva mayo guru. One should know the spiritual master as Krishna himself and never disrespect the acharya in any way. One should not envy the spiritual master, thinking the acharya to be an ordinary conditioned soul. For the spiritual master is the representative of all the demigods. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is none different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart as Chaitya Guru, the spiritual master within. So when Krishna is kind to some fortunate conditioned soul, Krishna personally gives one lessons to progress in devotional service, instructing the person as super soul within and the spiritual master without. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tata gurau tasyaite kathata hi artha prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who simultaneously have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, then all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. And if the conditioned soul engages in the service of the Lord and simultaneously carries out the orders of his or her spiritual master, and also serves the spiritual master, then only can one get out of the clutches of Maya and become eligible for shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. Kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kene nai ye Krishna tattva veta se guru hoy. So, whether one is a Brahmana or a sannyasi or even a Shudra, regardless of who or what one is, one can become spiritual master if one knows the science of Krishna. Vacho vegam manasa prodha vegam jiva vegam udaro paspa vegam etan vegan yo visha heta thira sarvam apimang prativingsa shishyat. The sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the demands of the mind, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Tasmad gurung prapadyeta jigyasu sreya uttamam shabde pare cha nishnatang brahmani upashamashrayam. So, any person who seriously desires to achieve real happiness must seek out a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of the spiritual master by initiation. The qualification of the spiritual master is that the spiritual master must have realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation, as well as to be able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, Krishna, leaving aside all other material considerations, are to be understood as bona fide spiritual masters. Tuang na sandarshito datra, dusnarang nistatirshatam, kalim sattva harang pungsam, karnadhara ivarnavam. O Srila Prabhupada, we think we have met your goodness by the will of Providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those of us who desire to cross the difficult ocean of the age of Kali, which simply deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being